standing here, Birmingham City Centre at the Asylum, and we've got Letlive down to play tonight. And Jason, main man from Letlive, is joining me now. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. It's good
it's good to see you too, man. So let's literally just take it right back from the beginning, start off from the start. You guys formed in 2002 and came out and you released an EP. From that, did you ever expect Letlive to take off as much as it actually did?
No, I think that's like the biggest sort of like overwhelming factor of all of this. Is like I always wanted to be successful in my own, like relatively in my own mind, like be successful as a musician. And then when you see it sort of like coming to fruition as it has now, it's like, no, I never expected it.
Yeah.
It's incredible, man. Like it's so cool. It's so fucking cool. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, trust me, man. You can swear.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah, it's really rad. I'm excited.
Awesome. And you do actually have a musical background before you actually started out. Your father was a member of a band.
Yeah.
He was a singer and guitarist, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Part of a soul group.
Yeah.
And he ended up giving that up, I believe, so that he could help raise and look after you. Do you feel as though his musical background actually ended up pushing you towards striving to be part of a musical group?
Yeah, I think it's funny and like quite, I don't know, like strange, because my father, like he's really good, like he's a really good musician, like much better than myself, and he didn't want me to play music because his story was a bit like, I don't know, like unfortunate, and so he was like, now you know, my son to do music and sports, you know, because that's how I could get into college and shit. So I was fairly athletically inclined, and I could you know, get decent grades in school. So they tried to push me that way, and because of that, the taboo nature that it had sort of attached to music made me want to do even more. So yeah, man, that and just see. But my father continued doing music after he gave up like the touring lifestyle. He's kept doing music.
Yeah.
So it was always around me, always around me. And my mother was always blasting like anything from like ABBA to Prince to Rod Stewart, like Queen. Yeah. You know, when she'd be cleaning the house, and my mom's was like the one that I was with my mom most of the time growing up. So I would always have music around me. So I definitely attribute that to my father, and even when he didn't want me to do it, I still
still stuck at it.
Yeah.
So while you were growing up and stuff, was your father still involved in the band? And was it when he started to realise how much he was missing, he called it quits?
Yeah, man. He was doing his like trying to continue with his own thing, but he had got all new band members and only did like local stuff, or he'd do like gigs, you know, one night, come home, whatever. And then he became an accountant. Yeah, he became an accountant, and then some things happened, and he got, you know, pulled away from music and the family for a little bit, and then I think part of my like rebellious era was catalyzed by music. You know, like, okay, now I can make songs about how upset I am, and then whatever. You know, and in that I also realized that there was a sort of an appeal to being like a good musician, like a real musician. So my father, again, he's just like the truest sense of like raw talent, just taught himself everything. He's just really good at it. So I think, again, like all of those things are things that you know, made me want to continue doing that and try to be good at what I was doing. I mean, I'm not saying that I've reached it yet, but I'm always trying to do that. So.
Amazing. So from that first EP, you guys then released another LP before you actually ended up getting signed to Epitaph Records. And I believe, and you'll probably be able to shed more truth on this, but one of the factors from you getting signed to Epitaph was because of Ollie Sykes from Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, apparently that's. I speak with Ollie every once in a while, and I've never actually asked him. I guess I'm just I don't want to bring that up because that'd be kind of weird, or something. But yeah, that's what I've been told. The word in the office is that Ollie called up Brett one night and told him, "This is the band you want to check out from Los Angeles." And Brett checked us out. After a series of events, we were signed to Epitaph Records. So if Ollie, Mr. Oliver Sykes, if you happen to be watching for whatever reason, thanks for the recent shipment from your clothing company. Real good threads, love the materials you use. And thanks for getting our band signed to Epitaph Records. Really, it's really helped us out. So,
big up Mr. Ollie Sykes.
Holla at your boys.
So from that, you guys released Fake History in 2010, was it?
Yeah.
And that pretty much catapulted you guys into the mainstream eye. It was a record that very much set the new standard for hardcore music. And over here in the UK, it was massively accepted, and you got voted best frontman by Kerrang! Magazine, just through the crazy shit that you ended up doing live. But from that record, I mean, I want to talk quite in depth about that. Actually, I mean, there's a few songs on that record that for me really do stand out, and as a music lover myself, I tend to listen a lot more to the lyrics than I do anything else. And some of the lyrics that you use in that record are way more personal and way more about your life than I've actually ever heard. And I believe that the element of this personal, this is my life, writing style has really helped your band. Is that something that you just found natural?
Yeah, I suppose. I think it was also rather kind of fortuitous, because at the time I was just going through a very, very large transformative period as a man, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I was really bad at being candid in that aspect, so I just wrote about it instead. And then for me to go from writing about it to laying it down, onto Pro Tools tracks and putting on a CD and distributing that CD was certainly, I felt a sense of trepidation and wondered how it would be received. But in the end, it was the most cathartic thing I could have done and continue to do, as an artist and as a human being. And yeah, man, I just feel like it's all I have left.
Yeah.
My life, honestly, in my life, I've experienced many things at a very, very early on in my life, and I feel like the one thing that I have left to do is just be honest. You know what I mean? Just be as honest as I can, because there's no reason for me to exhibit or put the patina of oneself, this veneer.
Yeah.
Just give it to them straight.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm doing.
Exactly, and I mean, for me, one of the songs on the record that stands out for that the most, I mean, there's a couple of them, but the first one I'd like to talk about is Day 54.
Yeah.
And for me, one of my favourite songs, probably in music of the past 10 years that I've heard, is the line to all my friends who'd rather get high on your ground level watching you die, fuck drugs and fuck strangers, and stuff like that. But the line after that, there's the two things that kill the best of my friends. Is that an element of truth in there as well?
Oh yeah, that song is a letter I wrote to my. I had a group of friends that lived in this house, so I wrote this letter and I left it for them, and that was the song. That was the first lines of my song of the letter with that song. To all my friends are all gonna die, and it was a really crass way of being yo, I'm worried about you guys, because no one would listen and everyone was in such different, I guess, places in their lives. So it was hard for me to sort of break through that, and I just wrote this letter and left it in the house. And some of them were offended, and some of them understood. It's kind of what was expected of the letter, but I was able to elucidate something that I was very concerned about. So yeah, man, that song is completely unadulterated.
That's how
it's
it is.
A real song.
That's how it was. I mean, I got that feeling as well. I mean, and also going on in the song when you're talking about girls and sleeping around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an element of that not only in the rock and roll culture, but just everyday life. The abusive nature of drugs, people trying to be straight edge and that driving them over the limit.
Exactly.
And also women being the main factor of some people's deepest and darkest miseries and stuff like that. It's a song that has an element of it which anyone can connect to who've had a problem.
Yeah, thank you. I guess that's exactly the one, if there's one thing I can hope for as a lyricist, is to write something that people can connect with, and a myriad of different types of people can connect with. So I just, that line with the women, all of these things seem to happen sequentially, just everything subsequently would be happening, and that line with the women I remember someone asking me like, do you have a disdain or like for women? And I'm like, oh no, absolutely not. Like that's actually the last thing I have. It was just this point in my life where literally I had been involved with a situation that really like kind of turned me in a way that was upsetting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to write about it.
Yeah.
So I did. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with women. It was those few women that were specifically involved in these situations that I wrote about.
No, totally. I mean, it's very easy for people to listen to music and generalise like that, being like, oh, you're obviously sexist. It's like, no, I've been involved in a situation, dude, and I've been fucked over, or something's fucking affected me in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I tell them like, yo, if I was gay, I would write about dudes. I would have written about these dudes that hurt my feelings, you know. And actually, although I am a heterosexual male, I have written about dudes that have fucking hurt my feelings.
No, exactly.
So either way, you find something for everybody there, because men and women, us as people, we have an erroneous nature, and we do things that are wrong. All of us, whether you're a man or a woman. So, yeah.
Precisely. The next song on that record that kind of stood out for me lyrically was Renegade. For me, that song, again, the element of truth in there. It's just like, it's so straight and it's so upfront, and I mean, people can take different meanings from the songs and out of that, but for me, what I kind of grasped from it was about this element of fame and the sort of nature that comes with fame.
Yeah, man, that's exactly. That is that Renegade 86 is like my father's story. Me from my perspective is being like, okay, I see how you were just covered in all these ideas of what it is to be famous and succeed, my father, and then I saw how it twisted your mind up and it put you in a place where, you know, you really couldn't exist in the real world, and then afterwards the result was perilous, you know, just something that could really fuck your head up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And it's also my sort of call to be like, well, I'm going to continue as a musician, only I'm going to probably avoid the missteps as I can, because now I know your story. You know? So with that, and ultimately, like the idea of fame, I do touch upon on both records, and I think fame is completely gauged improperly now. Yeah, I think people are famous for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. I don't think that being famous or celebrated is such a bad thing for some people, but it's the way that people are, you know, celebrated and the way they're famous. So I don't know, man.
If you don't mind expanding slightly more on just what you just said there about your father's story, just for people who don't know.
Yeah. He, my dad was in some very estimable acts before I was born. Toured with like some of the biggest names in the history of music, and he was, you know, he was a G. Like, he did his thing, and in that he sort of, I think he allowed it to dictate too much of his life, and forgetting who he was or what he should be as a man, and in the end he lost his mind. You know what I mean? He's lost his mind, and I for so long thought that my father had like resented me because I was born, and then he had to, you know, raise a child. And then up until recently, like, him and I had we finally had the conversation where it was like, he told me what had really happened, and it definitely did wash away those feelings of resentment, which was cool. But it also like put me in a place where I was able to observe something that I do not want to be a part of, which is this highfalutin, delusional, grandiose fucking sense of bullshit fame. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna be famous or you're gonna get, you know, remembered for something, make sure that it's validated. You know what I mean? Don't push it upon yourself. Don't self-impose. You know what I mean? Like, or self-proclaim. Like, just be about it, and the I guess the idea of fame will come as it should, and you know, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
And you mentioned earlier in the interview how he never really approved of the musical direction that you took, and after this conversation that you said you had, do you feel as though he's now more understanding about what you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. He sat me down one day because I went to his house back at home to say hello, and he sat me down and just told me, he was like, you know, you're doing what I did when I was your age. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And then he proceeded to tell me about the story of how he kind of lost his mind because of music, and that's why he felt like he wanted to push me towards academics or sports, things like that. And now he's been like, you know what, you're doing it, and this is actually really cool. And I gotta give him, like, I say thanks publicly for this, because people think that I have this like, extreme contempt for my father. That he told me that I have a different mind, and he thinks that somehow in my birth it was omitted from my mind and my heart, the thing that kind of fucked him up. So maybe I'm lucky genetically, somehow I don't have to worry about losing my mind that way, at least that way, you know. So I'm hoping to remind myself of that every single day. You know, I'm not trying to lose my mind.
Yeah, amazing. Would you go as far as to say that he almost fell a victim of reaching this level of fame, and then, you know, no one's going to be famous forever? And was it the situation of where, you know, the popularity was, you know, decreasing, things were becoming harder, gigs weren't seeing less numbers, and he couldn't cope?
Yeah, man, he just thought he was the shit. This motherfucker just thought he was the shit, and I mean, he was the shit, I suppose, but you know, you got to keep going. So he thought that was going to be perpetual. Yeah, it happens, and it just continues. And you know, I think he stopped being hungry, as we say where I'm from. Is like, you got to stay hungry, and he just kind of thought, oh, it's just gonna keep coming to me now, and then all of a sudden it just dissipated, and he kind of lost, you know, didn't understand, felt
hard done by.
Yeah, felt slighted by the industry, and which he was. He did get fucked over by his labels and stuff, but you know, all that kind of stuff. So again, the idea of humility for me, I learned that a long time ago. So I'm actually I'm okay with not being at a level where I feel like I'm on top of the world. You know what I mean? That's all right for me.
Amazing. And going back to what I was originally talking about, was the lyrics in the album. Muther as a song, a very, very personal song to you, and you know, I've seen you guys live a couple of times now, and I know for a fact your reaction to playing that song live, how much it actually affects you performing that song. In terms of details into it, it is like probably one of the most personal songs I've ever heard, and the subject that you write about is, you know, your mother's sex life, pretty much. And for a person to write about that, it's a very, very bold move, and something that doesn't come easily. Is that the reason why, when performing it live, and also, you know, the reaction to the song and making it a single as well, so obviously more people are going to be hearing it, was that something that came easily, or like sharing something that intimate, like the most intimate element of your life?
Nah, that was the fucking hardest shit. I had that song for years, man, because what had happened was I was experiencing some things in my life that were running concurrently at a young age. They were running concurrently with like family issues, so the song itself came about quite easily or naturally, but to give it such a public dress, you know, and to show it to so many people was not easy at all. But in the end, really, what the song helped me do was realize that my mother, the one woman that I've like always trusted, and then for a moment we had this really weird rift, and then we had a hard time feeling the trust between each other, and then I quickly realized that her love, even though it may have seemed like it was displaced in our relationship at some point, it never was. Like, my mother is always, like, she's the closest thing to unconditional love that I know. And even though my mother, my father, myself, everyone around me fucked up, like, everyone did. We all did, and we all do, and we will continue to do so. In the end, we were okay, because the idea of unconditional love is real. Like, it really is real. And my mother is the greatest exhibition of that, the greatest example. She's the most, like, demonstrable of that for me. And so it is hard. And it's super hard to write, but it's I think it was necessary. Again, it's really necessary for me to understand that, like, the idea of a superhero, you know, it's really relative. You know.
And I also did read somewhere that I don't know if it's that song or part of an element that you wrote about once, about a misdiagnosis of cancer as well. Is that part of Mother as well? So, I mean, what was the background behind that?
It just seemed as though all of these things fell like rather Shakespearean. When it rains, it pours. You know what I'm saying? So like everything had happened at the time. The misdiagnosis, I left home again. My family, I hadn't spoken with my family in years, and then just like all that stuff kind of happened at once.
Yeah.
All came to a head at once, and the whole song really does encapsulate that for me, and it definitely can overwhelm me at times on stage because it brings out all those things because I never dealt with it.
Yeah.
And I'm still like trying to. I just told someone the other day, or I'm sorry, I just told my last girlfriend, this ex-girlfriend of mine, like that I think because of all of those things is why I used to be so like volatile. You know, like that's the first time I ever like told anyone that. So, and that's like that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That this shit happened to me. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, because of these situations that were occurring with you, that element of volatility, was that something that you struggled with growing up as a child? Was that something that played a massive element in your childhood because of the situations and you didn't have an outlet to express yourself or someone to turn to?
Yeah.
Was that part of the formation of a rebellious nature?
Certainly, yeah. And for me, being able to dress it as a rebellious nature, being able to dress it as an adolescent, being like, oh no, I'm just young and I'm allowed to do this, was kind of only
it's giving you something to blame.
Yeah, and it just lent credence to what I was doing, you know. So, yeah, man, I was a much more aggressive and violent person than I really care to admit to, or at least used to care to admit to. And I was I kept people at beyond arm's length, and I was really reckless. And the idea of self-abandonment for me was like a huge thing, and I still do exhibit it, or as you can tell on stage, I'm sure, but I'm trying, you know, like I'm trying to get past it. So.
Amazing. And do you find that having, you know, experienced these problems, you're in a position now where you could have looked back and thought, fuck, if only someone had said that to me, or if someone had been there to do that for me?
I try not to anymore. You know, I used to be really, in hindsight, really retrospective, and not anymore, man. I'm thankful for everything that I would typically be like, if someone would have told me, or I wish I could do this or that. I don't worry anymore. I look back and say, well, now I know. Now I know, and I won't let that happen again. If I do let it happen again, I'll try even harder next time, you know. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I mean, in terms of Fake History, man, like Day 54, my favourite song off that album, and Muther as well is another one of them. And then we move on to the new album, The Black is Beautiful, and just before the interview we were talking, and I said that the album itself, what a lot of bands do, and it fucks me off to know, man, is they release a record, and then second time around they're just like, right, people have heard that, we need to change. And it's just like, no, dude, people like you because of what they've heard already.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't the idea of you guys coming out and writing the same record again. It was a development, the word I used earlier. And it's that idea of bettering yourself from what you've learned from that, and then like the elements of like jazz in there and the breakdowns. I mean, a lot of bands in the hardcore genre, their breakdowns consist of, you know, stuff that will get people, you know, ripping each other's eyes out. But your breakdowns are these smooth, funky little jazz interludes.
Thank you, man.
And they're still there, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, we just tried to nurture the things that we enjoy most about music that we play and music that we enjoy as fans.
Yeah.
So we employed and implemented those into the record, and again, just try to be as honest and organic for everything from the material to the sonic representation to the recording to the engineering. Like everything about it, we did intentionally. It was all very deliberate.
Yeah.
So.
And so you released the first single, Banshee Ghost Fame, which went down a storm. People dug that.
Yeah.
And you're currently out promoting Younger as well now. You just released the music video for that.
Yeah.
And watching that music video, it's one of the creepiest fucking ones I've ever watched.
Yeah. That was the whole idea, man. I think we offered that video to listeners and fans, actually more so as a visual representation to sort of entertain a new element for Letlive. And for me, the idea of the song being, you know, a little sonically more somber, a little more catchy, a little more pop sensible, but giving them this fucked up visual, you know, series.
Yeah.
On top of that, the contradiction is something I'm always about, and I really wanted to try to do that. So it was more so a visual and aesthetic offering, as opposed to like just trying to push a single. It was the visual aspect of this video is something I was really into.
So you tied that in with the lyrical content and with exactly everything that you wanted the song to become.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I remember writing the treatment and discussing it with the directors and being like, here's what we want to do, like here's exactly how we want to do it, from to the ash on the face and the squirt gun and like everything, and then the kidnapping scene, everything was like really thought out and methodical. So
amazing. And with regards to the future of Letlive now, obviously you doing this UK tour. After that, is it Europe? Is that the plan?
We just got back from Europe, so
Oh,
we're in Europe.
right.
Yeah, so we're here now, and then we go home for a little bit, and then we continue in the States with Every Time I Die in an intimate small club setting for a month. Yeah, so it's gonna be fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And final thing was Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Biggest fucking, I mean, guys over here in the UK, if they love the alternative scene, they look over at America and go, for Christ's sake, just every element, bring it over here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's slowly being tested. We've got a couple of dates this year. But I mean, like some of the footage I've been seeing from you guys out there, the performances, the levels of entertainment, the live stuff. I mean, one show where you put the metal trash can over your head and went stage diving. It's that kind of stuff. And is that an element of the live show that's still there that runs through with Letlive?
Yeah, always, man. Like that. I don't really know if it's ever gonna leave. It might, maybe at some point, it might evolve or change a little bit. But it's, I mean, I think that's just kind of what Letlive is. It's the essence, and on Warped Tour, we were able to just fucking go. We were so heavily supported by people, but also by the crew, the Warped Tour crew. Like our stage manager, Johnny Emmerich, my fucking boy, dude. Like seriously, he allowed us to be the band that we are within a world that sometimes tries to censor that, and he's the man. Like, I love you, Johnny. Thank you, and all the crew on the Monster stage, incredible, like absolutely incredible. Caesar, Johnny, just fucking
amazing stuff, dude. Well, I think we've been told to wrap it up, but I could sit here and talk to you for the next 3 hours, man. Genuinely. Best of luck with promoting The Black is Beautiful.
Thanks, brother.
Massive fan of the record, and can't wait for the show tonight.
Thanks,
dude.
brother. It's gonna be fun.
Cheers,
Yeah,
Jason.
man. Thanks, dude.